this past week, Tim Duncan, Kobe Bryant, Kevin Garnett all got elected to the 2020 Basketball Hall of Fame. So the question I wanted to put out there is, who's the best ever to do it out of those three?
Okay, so it's clearly down to Kobe, Duncan, and KG. And by the way, do y'all hear me clearly? I just want to make sure.
Yeah, I can hear you. I'm loud and clear, box office.
Okay. So I think it's clearly between those three out of this draft class. There's no question about that. When you just look at the two power forwards, I think Duncan was the better power forward. And I've seen all three of these guys their whole career, from start to finish. I remember KG in Minnesota, eventually to Boston. No one really cares about the Brooklyn days. Kobe's been a Laker his whole career, as Duncan's been a Spur his whole career. So out of the two power forwards, I thought Duncan was clearly better. One with and without David Robinson. One with Ginobili and Parker, who he won with those two more times. Now, obviously, he was there longer with them than KG was with Pierce and Ray Allen. But Pierce and Ray Allen are better players than Tony Parker and Ginobili. And I felt like they underachieved a little bit by winning just one title. And I know they went to two finals, but is there any more annoying sports team in the history of sports than the 2008 Boston Celtics? Because that, and I forget Rondo's always on that team, he was, but what I'm saying is I've never seen a team make a big deal out of a championship like I've seen the 2008 Boston Celtics. Like, they will talk about that title forever. And I'm like, dude, you acquired Ray Allen and Kevin Garnett, and you're acting like, like I thought Dirk Nowitzki's title with the 2011 Mavericks was much more impressive. Not saying that the Celtics didn't earn it. They did their part, but I just feel like that team is very annoying. They always talk about that title. It's like, in my mind, you were the favorites in every series you played. You were supposed to win. You were the headlines of the offseason that year. But anyways, KG won one title, went to two finals. Duncan went 5-1 in the NBA Finals and was a Ray Allen miss away from being Michael Jordan-esque 6-0. He, like I said, he won with Dave Robinson. He won without him. He lived up to being the first overall pick in the in the NBA draft. Sorry. If anybody ever lived up to the first pick in the NBA draft, it was Tim Duncan. And then obviously we know of the late great Kobe, 5-2 in the NBA, one with him and without Shaq. And I thought those two without Shaq were very, very impressive. He beat those Celtics that I just talked about with Kevin Garnett. Now Kevin Garnett did also beat him. So they're 1-1 there. But I think Duncan's better than Garnett. I don't think that's a question. That's no disrespect to Garnett. He just didn't win as much as Duncan. And then when you look at Kobe and Duncan, here's the way I have it, right? When I look at the best players of all time, currently on my list is Kobe 3, Duncan 4. And here's the way I want to say it. I think Duncan had the better career. The way his career went, I felt like I felt like Duncan had a better career. But I think Kobe's the better player, if that makes sense to y'all. It makes sense to me. So I guess because I have Kobe third and Duncan fourth, I'll go Kobe as the best player in this. But I do think Duncan had an amazing career, almost Michael Jordan-esque career. And I felt like being the number one pick, you have so much expectations, and he lived up to that. And obviously, I think Tim Duncan's career will always be a little underrated because as great as he was and as the MVPs he won, the finals MVPs he won, the 5-1, the finals record, he just wasn't as flashy. He's a forward. And also, he was so quiet that sometimes, you forget the Spurs won the title for example, in 2007, we know the Spurs, for example, beat the Cavs. They swept them. But in 2008, you were like, who won in 2007? Because it was the Spurs, you know, and you got used to them winning after a while, but it was the Spurs. They were boring to the average fan. Now, to guys like us that love basketball, the Spurs play with some of the prettiest basketball ever. I love watching the Spurs. But Tim Duncan, he wasn't flashy. Sometimes you forget what his voice sounds like. So Kobe was more flashy. He stuck out more. I think Garnett even stuck out more than Duncan with his antics on the court. But I think he had an awesome career. But I think overall Kobe was the best player, and that's by a slim margin. I think that they're right there. Like I said, for me, the best players of all time is 1, MJ, 2, Kareem, 3, Kobe, 4, Duncan, 5, Magic. And I feel like 3 and 4 right there, you could swap them. So I'll give it to Kobe, a slight nod over Duncan, and then Kevin Garnett.
Mike? Uh-oh. You know I'm biased. KG, I think everybody's going to have him at 3. We'll see. A lot of people want to be disrespectful and like to put KG over Tim Duncan. A lot, you know, I hear especially from the young people, I hear that KG, if KG was with the Spurs, he would have done the same thing, and I disagree with that. I think Mr. Fundamental was everything that a star player should be. He listened to his coach. He played exactly the same way every game. He didn't try to do too much, but he did exactly what he was supposed to do every game. He was clutch. He played defense better than almost everybody of all time. I think he was a better defender than KG. KG was a little bit more mobile, but when it came to the paint, Tim Duncan was lockups. Him and Shaq had some of the greatest battles in the playoffs. Shaq won a lot. Tim Duncan won a lot. I mean, some of the things. I mean, a lot. People don't even remember that Tim Duncan pretty much had a quadruple double to win the 2003 finals. I just got to watch that again thanks to ESPN. They brought that back this past week, and it probably was a quadruple double. There's a little controversy with 2 blocks, but regardless, he almost had a quadruple double to clinch the finals. The Spurs were down in that game as well, and he brought them back. Just with stellar defense and great offense. He was complete. I think Tim Duncan. I don't think he was ever dominant. He was dominant in his career. He was just he lost his athleticism, but he made up for it with a better mid range. And just more fundamentals, a better free throw percentage. He was just consistent all around for his whole career. Like Mr. Box Office said, he was probably the greatest number 1 pick we've seen. LeBron James was one, but LeBron James hasn't won as much as Tim Duncan. Not in the finals. He doesn't have as good of a record, and for now he doesn't have as great of a winning percentage. We'll see how long it lasts and see if he breaks that. He also didn't do it with one team for his whole career. He had to jump around, and he joined other people, joined other talents. Tim Duncan did it with the talent that he had, and with the coaching that he had. Kobe Bryant, one of my favorite players ever. But I've always just felt he was a little bit of a Michael Jordan copycat. Not as athletic. I love Kobe though. I love Kobe, but I just love Michael Jordan more, and I guess that prohibits me from feeling Kobe was as great. The Tim Duncan and Kobe, they were the 2 best players in their generation, no doubt. Kobe was one of the greatest scorers we've ever seen. He was also one of the greatest defenders we've seen on the perimeter. He brought it on both ends. He was the Black Mamba. That mentality, that is bar none compared to nobody else except Michael Jordan. Him and Kobe, their mentality is it's all about winning. It's all about working hard and never letting up. However, I think Tim Duncan had that same thing. He just never talked about it. He didn't brand himself as the Black Mamba or as a guy that just that needed. He didn't need to show that he works hard and works harder than anybody else. But he did, and we can see from the results that he did. Tim Duncan, I like to compare him to Michael Jordan in the types of smoothness and fundamentals. That's what Michael Jordan brought. Michael Jordan brought a lot more, which is why he's the greatest of all time. But in terms of wing play, his footwork, his post game, were all fundamentals. Those were all fundamentals, and that's what Tim Duncan brought as well. I think Tim Duncan was the best player of his generation. I think he was the best of this class. I think that you go through 100 lifetimes with Tim Duncan and Kobe Bryant. They'll be very close. One will have a better career, the other will have a better career. But in the end, I think Tim Duncan has a slight edge over Kobe Bryant because he was more unselfish than, and I think that is what puts him a little bit higher than those other two.
Okay, Keo, I want to hear from you first. Go ahead, Keo.
Oh no, I'm going with Kobe. This is slam dunk, too easy for me. When I look, Tim Duncan's gonna go down as the one of the greatest power forward, or the greatest power forward to ever do it. But if I look at who had the better career, I just thought Kobe had more of an impact. I just thought he changed the dynamics in the game. When Jordan left, Kobe basically carried that league, and it was Kobe, man. All people was thinking about was Kobe, and I think he revolutionized that game, transcended that game, and he carried the weight. I do think that Tim Duncan, throughout his career, he had better teammates and role players. You look at who Duncan had on his team, and from guys like Sean Elliott, Avery Johnson. I think Vinny Del Negro was was one of his teammates. Robert Horry was part of that run. Bruce Bowen. Obviously, we can't forget about Manu Ginobili and Tony Parker. But I just felt like when it came to Tim Duncan, he was mostly limited to post moves, straight up jumpers, and we all know Tim Duncan of his bank shots. When you ask me about what I would remember about Tim Duncan, it's his bank shot, man. And I just felt like when it comes to Kobe, I just felt like he worked harder to score, and he had more of a arsenal when it came to offensive move, and he just had like hanging floaters, 3-point jump shots, fadeaway jumpers, and I just felt like everybody, when Kobe was there, everybody wanted to be like Kobe, man. And I just felt like he had more of an impact on the game, and I just felt like he was the better player overall, and he had a better career over Tim Duncan. And a lot of people said Kobe had help with Shaq. I mean, you look at Tim Duncan; he had some help too. So I don't think there's no way people can argue about that. And a lot of people forgot, man. Tim Duncan, through his run, he had great shooters around him, man. Guys like Steve Smith, Matt Bonner, Danny Ferry, Steve Kerr. Like he had shooters around him, man, and it made it so easy for him because in the big men, it's rare. We don't have those nowadays. And when you look at the top 10 scorers in the game, only 3 of them are not big men. I think that's Kobe, that's Michael, and I forgot who was the last one. But I gotta go with Kobe with this one. Not just more impacted the game. He revolutionized the game, and just not just on the field but off the field also. So I'm going with Kobe in this one.
Shoot, so I'm actually really surprised by the answers because I really thought it was going to be at least 2-1, if not 3-0 from Duncan when we first started the show and I found out about this topic. I was like, I'm going to go last because I already know it's going to be chaotic. So let me be the first to say that I hate this topic. I hate it. I feel like I have to not say belittle one of them to make my argument for the other, but in a sense, that's what I feel like we're doing. Like these gentlemen, I watched their entire career from the moment they walked onto the NBA scene. I mean, if you want to go to Tim Duncan at Wake Forest, we watched Tim Duncan. We actually spoke about that a couple of shows ago. I believe the best players in college basketball history that you watch. And you have to remember, the Hall of Fame is based on not just what you did in the NBA. So Tim Duncan is no doubt a first ballot Hall of Famer, not just based on his NBA career, but what he did at Wake Forest. But this topic is so tough for me, man. I will say I disagree with Mike to a certain extent. Tim Duncan did fit the San Antonio model a little bit more than Garnett would have fit if he would have went there. But I do think that Pop would have got the most out of Garnett and they would have won multiple titles. And as far as Garnett and the Celtics, they should have won more. They definitely, I believe, would have beat the Lakers and Kobe the second year had Garnett not gotten hurt. And they almost got to the finals and beat the Magic regardless, with Garnett not even there. So if they get there with Garnett, I do believe, but of course you can't go off of ifs. We have to go by what is, but Garnett would have to be on the bottom 3 of these 3 guys, even though I don't like this topic. But if I had to break down the 2, Duncan versus Kobe, man, y'all putting me in a tough spot right now. Y'all really putting me in a tough spot. I would have to. Man. At this very moment, like I had my answer, but now I'm kind of like, should I go with it? Because it's not, man, it's so tough. 2 different positions, obviously. Power forward could play center versus a guy that can play, 1 to 3. This is the best way I can say it. Who do I think is the better basketball player is Kobe. Kobe's the better basketball player. Who would I rather have is Tim Duncan. That's the best way I can sum it up. I know that's kind of like me trying to bail myself out of this topic, but it's the truth.
We want an answer.
But it's the truth. It is the truth. If I could have one, if I had to draft, I would rather Tim Duncan. But if I had to go by who I think is the better player overall, from what Keo said, is the truth. Man, Kobe worked nonstop at every part of his game to go right, to go left, from here, from pull up from there. Though he wasn't the most athletic guy, still was athletic enough to get to the rack and yam on you. So, man, just just the work ethic, what he brought to the game. I do think Kobe's the better player, but like I said, I would take Duncan first if I had to start a team. I think I have less issues on my team with Tim Duncan. Not to say Kobe's a bad teammate or anything like that, but we know a lot of players couldn't handle playing with Kobe, i.e. Dwight Howard when he went to the Lakers the first time around. He couldn't handle that. So Duncan, to me, anybody could pretty much play with Duncan. He figured it out how to lift people up. The one thing I will say, Duncan, we look at Tim Duncan, and I kind of look at Tim Duncan and Tom Brady in the same sense, in the same way. Coach Pop, man, has a big say-so in Tim Duncan's success. I'm not saying Duncan wouldn't be as successful somewhere else, but it'd be hard-pressed for me to believe that. Had Duncan going to a team like the Atlanta Hawks, are we still putting Tim Duncan in the same category? Does he win this many championships? I can't say that. And I know that same argument could be made for Kobe. He was blessed to play with Shaq. He was blessed to play for Phil Jackson. But something tells me Kobe would have figured it out. Duncan, I felt like with another coach, I can't say would have. I mean, as good as he was at Wake Forest, and as dominant as he was at Wake Forest, he never won. And that's just the facts. You can't sit there and argue that. So I'm going with Kobe, man, slightly. Like I said, better player, but who I'd rather is Tim Duncan. I know you don't like that answer, Kill, but it's the truth.